Ready?
1 second.
It's a recording.
It's recording.
So tonight we're talking about the Laver Cup,
Yes.
which is very close to David's heart. He's without spoiler alert here, David's a big fan of the Laver Cup.
I'm one of those fanboys.
So can you tell listeners, just explain in a nutshell what the Laver Cup is, because it's only been going 3 years. This is the third edition has just taken place. So what is it? Whose idea and how did it come about?
Yeah, I love the Laver Cup. Laver, actually. I call it Laver.
Who is this Laver guy? Who is he?
Yeah, he's the only guy that had the
We're talking calendar Grand Slams.
calendar Grand Slams. Yeah.
Not your Djokovic.
Yeah.
Poor man's Grand Slam.
Djokovic had one, but it was not the same one. Yeah,
Not
it's true.
not in the same year.
Not in the
Laver
same year.
did it in the same
Yeah,
years.
2 times.
Yeah, eight years apart. I think 1961, and I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Iwana will check this out.
Yes, I guess that's why he deserves a tournament in his
Definitely,
name.
this is something I really love about the Laver Cup. Named after a great player, arguably, even in this era of Djokovic, Nadal and Federer, arguably the greatest ever to win 2 Grand Slams so far apart, and he would have won many more had it not been for him not being allowed to play.
He wasn't.
Well, this was the dawn of the amateur and the professional kind of thing. So he won his first Grand Slam as an amateur. Then he became professional. He played tennis for money. So he wasn't allowed to enter the Grand Slam tournaments. So he was kind of in the wilderness playing exhibition matches in assembly halls against other top players who'd gone professional. So Wimbledon, they were without some of their star attractions because these players wanted to earn bread and butter. They couldn't just turn up at Wimbledon and pay their own travel expenses. I think you used to get shopping vouchers for winning Wimbledon. So I fully approve of the name of the Laver Cup. It's in honor of the great man. But what else do you like about the Laver Cup?
Yeah, so Federer came up with the idea, didn't he? Came up with this idea about a team game, and I don't follow the Davis Cup, but the Laver Cup has a different feel to it. And
that isn't spread over a week, is it? The Davis Cup is throughout the calendar.
It's forever, yes, and ever, and we lose track of what's going on.
Yeah.
You have to follow forever. And the tennis is kind of like on these little injections of tennis entertainment, and the Laver Cup does it in 3 days. But it's all stars.
Well, it's Europe against the rest of the world, isn't it? That's the concept. And I think Roger Federer came up with the idea. He was inspired by golf's Ryder Cup, which is big business, alternates between America and Europe, and is really something which is on golfers' wish list. The Laver Cup, although you love it, it's not massive yet. It's very early on, isn't it? But there are no ranking points.
I wonder if there's ever going to be ranking points, actually.
Well, the ATP have just acknowledged it as but still no ranking points.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
Would you like ranking points for?
What happens is, if ranking points start coming into the Laver Cup, they would have to start having qualifications for the Laver Cup.
Well, it's the top ranked players, isn't it? I don't think there are exceptions to that. Carl Edmonds, I think, not this year but last year, he was in it because I think he was one of the 8 top ranked.
I don't think it's like the O2 finals,
We'll have to research that. And so it's a hard court men's tennis tournament. We'll come back to that because this is one of my gripes. I'm going to play devil's advocate, but I think there's lots of hard court tournaments. It'd be nice, but it'd be nice if it was clay.
Or about grass?
Out of the season or grass.
Yeah, grass is the one that has less.
I'll be left field. A new surface, maybe sand or snow or something. Make it a bit different from other tournaments. Held annually, it's the Ryder Cup of the tennis world. It takes place 2 weeks after the US Open. I think it would be better as preparation for a tournament. Now, you're asked about fees, how much they got. Each member of the winning team gets £250,000 each. $250,000 in prize money. Doesn't count towards the ATP Tour. But as we said earlier, it is a sanctioned.
It's not bad money.
One thing I really like about it is there's a slightly unusual points format. You get less points on day one, but the points increase On day 2,
Yes,
2
1
points
point
for a win.
1 point per.
And on day 3, 3 points.
Very different, yes. Day by day, the
Yeah.
pressure and the importance of each match increases.
Snowballs.
Yes, it does. And you can even lose the first day, and then you can make it up in the second day.
Absolutely.
There's
yeah.
like 4 or 5 matches per day.
Yeah.
That includes doubles and singles, mostly singles, but there's always a doubles per day as well. So what I like about the Laver Cup is there is a different feeling about the Laver Cup than other tournaments have because of the team play.
Yes.
You nowhere on tennis grounds all over the world on any tournament are you able to see the camaraderie. How do you say
How
it?
well the players get on with each other.
The way they celebrate as a team, and you get to see Nadal and Federer coach each other. It's not about the ranking, it's not about so much the money, almost like a celebration of tennis. Really, it's about that feeling of sharing as a team. It's all great players.
They're all stars.
They're all stars.
Yeah.
And so I can't help to feel this warm feeling about the way they celebrate together. And
How seriously do they take it? Do you ever see needle between the opposition
that's a great
players?
question.
Does team ever kind of question the umpire, or let me think, does Kyrgios ever kind of give the eyeball to his opponent?
For the first time this season 3 of Laver Cup, there was a little bit of a dispute. McEnroe was disappointed because Nadal got injured for the Europe team,
Yeah.
and then for the reason of not being able to put the same player, McEnroe, by the way, the world's coach, had to put a weaker player against team. So he couldn't use the same player again. I think it's about not repeating the same matchup, but it ended up being okay because he beat team, and at that point the world was on top.
Now Federer was taking a very active part. You said you really liked
Always.
the fact you could see things like Federer coaching Nadal and vice versa. I missed those bits. Could you hear any of the advice? Because they were mic'd up.
You could hear a lot of dialogue going on between the teams. You could hear the coaching in lots of different languages. Nadal was speaking in Spanish sometimes. Federer was speaking German to Zverev here and there.
Yeah,
There was a lot of English going on as well.
sure, yes.
And you asked the question, is it important enough for them? At the interviews at the end of each tournament, the players say it's their favorite tournament
Yeah, that's
of the year.
That's a
It's
ringing endorsement.
incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's because of the feeling, of the emotions they feel there.
Yeah.
It's not the most important for them.
But here's a question for you: if you were one of the top players and you were coaching one of your rivals, they were in the same team as you, let's say Team Europe, would you give away your secrets? Would you go, look, this guy, every time he sticks his tongue out, I know he's going to serve down the tee. Would
Yeah.
you give away a secret because it might help this person?
Yeah, I would. I
Or
wouldn't
would
mind.
you just say you're playing so well, your forehand is so good, and just keep it vague?
Nadal definitely didn't. He was very, very clear about... Actually, Nadal was very emotional about the way he was coaching. So you could see passion.
Who would be the best coaches out of these players who featured? Bjorn Borg, probably my biggest hero in tennis. He doesn't seem to contribute much. He just kind of
Not at all.
he sits there. And actually, McEnroe was quite passive compared to the actual players on the sidelines.
Björk doesn't have a chance with Federer and Nadal constantly coaching their players.
They were like statues, weren't they?
Yes,
Ornaments.
they were just
garden
sitting there.
gnomes.
They're like kind of a more a symbolic thing than anything.
Definitely.
I'm sure they, because of what they represent from their history, they are definitely making a difference.
They've been announced they're going to be doing it next year.
A few more
Would you
years
like to
at
see
least.
someone
3.
different?
I wouldn't mind changing. Yes.
Who would you like to see? Lendl? Becker?
Wow, Lendl. Wow, that would be an interesting
That'd be
one.
feisty, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Pat Cash?
That would be interesting. Pat Cash, why not?
Ilie Nastase. Now that would be controversial. Do you know Ilie Nastase?
Tell me about it.
Ilie Nastase is a Romanian tennis player from the 70s. Very good player, very talented player, very temperamental. I suppose the closest person you could compare him to is Nick Kyrgios. He was mad. in a way, but very good. One of the top players. He would like borrow a spectator's umbrella during a vital match at Wimbledon. But yeah, he's a very controversial figure. Probably not the best choice to coach Team Europe.
But I don't mind those. You know, it's for the entertainment. If you're talking about this guy being controversial, Kyrgios, in the Laver Cup, he's positive from the first minute to the last. There's no negative coming from that guy. As a coach,
maybe a better team player.
Maybe a better team player.
I think he's a big basketball fan, so maybe team sports was his thing.
I think it is. There is a very good sentence that Nadal said in the interview at the end. I don't know if you heard it. This was at the end on the last interview after they won it.
Because he was probably quite upset that he couldn't play throughout. Understandable after his US Open heroics.
Losing is less painful together. Winning is much better together.
Very eloquent. I mean, these tennis players, I think their intelligence translates onto the tennis court.
It does. And not only, and you were asking who were the better coaches at the Laver Cup. Kyrgios, Nadal and Federer. They were awesome. They were always positive. Even Zverev admitted at the end that he won that last match because Nadal and Federer were just keeping him focused.
Was he wearing his jewellery in this match?
4. I think I counted 4.
Could Nadal and Federer not have persuaded him to shed some of it?
I think it would have been wise, wouldn't it?
Taken some of it down the pawnbrokers? Yes,
I think when he removes those chains, he will win a Grand Slam.
He'll be flying.
He will be. It's going to be incredible.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he's wearing them just to kind of like so it seem easier when he takes them off.
Yes.
It's all part of the strategy. So do you think Europe America? Do you think that's the right thing? Should it?
Well, it's Europe versus the world.
Yeah.
But right now, Europe has a lot of players from all over the place.
Yes, it's slightly unbalanced, isn't it?
Whereas the world has. We wanted Del Potro there, but he's injured.
Definitely,
We wanted Nishikori there, but maybe he didn't accept or wasn't invited. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder why. There's a lot to discover about this. So, yeah, I'm still very curious to know how they choose the players. I really want to know.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that strikes me is, I know it's not that serious, the tournaments yet, but yeah, we did mention it's unbalanced at the moment. Yeah.
But every single year it goes down to the last match.
Is this a fix? Am I being cynical?
Well, I think that if it would be wired, programmed, the tennis players are amazing at doing it.
Yeah.
Because they hit those lines, man.
Which is probably why match fixing is so hard to police.
It's very difficult. I mean, you'd really have to throw in some really bad unforced errors to be able to do that. But no, it couldn't be. And there's something special about the Laver Cup. I don't know how it's happening, how these team worlds, they were ahead in the last day, you know?
Yeah.
By 4 points or 5.
Yeah.
And suddenly Federer had to beat Isner. And then Zverev had
Doesn't
to
always
beat...
do it. Isner's beaten him before in real tournaments.
He did.
Not
with
that
those...
This isn't a real tournament, but in
Yes.
ranking
I love how you
tournaments.
say that. I think it's more of a celebration of tennis and...
David, you've convinced me. I think I'm being too harsh on the tournaments.
Mhm.
I did enjoy what I saw of it. I tried to watch as much as I could.
Yeah,
I'm not going to complain. It's another tennis tournament.
Agreed.
And it's on TV, and a normal person like me can press my remote button fairly easily and actually watch it. So I think that's a good thing. What I like about it too is that it's over 1 week. So you can like tune in and it's a nice week.
3 days. Very quick.
How I would improve it, I do miss the fact there are no women in it, actually. This is something I like so much about the Hopman Cup.
That's what we've been talking about, isn't
and
it?
wouldn't it be great to see the interaction
What are
on
they
the
waiting
sidelines?
for?
Oh, look, there's Serena Williams
I would love that.
kind of whispering in Jack
I
Sox's.
went to investigate.
Federer's eyeballing Venus Williams.
Yes.
This would be good too. It's lovely to see males interact, but wouldn't it be great to see male and female interaction on the sideline?
Yeah. Yes.
Let's have it on grass.
Mm-hmm. Grass, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Wimbledon could host it in the winter.
Why not?
Maybe over Christmas it could be called Crimbledon. But it's nice. It's nice. It's around the world. It's been in Prague, Chicago, Boston.
And it's always bouncing between
Boston.
Europe and the world.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think it's Australia's turn, but they've got the Hopman Cup.
Yes,
So
now it's back to America, the next one.
can I wrap it up with? I'll give you a hypothetical dilemma here. Okay.
Go.
I've got tickets for the ATP World Finals or the Olympic tennis finals. You can watch
That's
the
a good one
women's,
as well.
the men's doubles, the wheelchair, the curly-haired Olympics final, or the Olympics finals.
Hmm.
And the third choice is, of course,
Laver Cup.
the Laver Cup, but you can only choose one for this prize.
I would go to the Laver Cup,
You go to the Laver
but only for one reason.
because you've been to the. Let me
I've
guess.
been to the O2 many
I should have
times.
thought this before I asked the
And
question.
I don't have such interest in the Olympics tennis. Although I love the Olympics. I would go and watch,
Yeah.
Bolt run. I think it's great that every sport should be part of the Olympics. But I think that there is a stronger aura about the Olympics than just tennis.
What's nice, I think, about the Olympics is you actually will get someone like Andy Murray, who won it, actually staying in the Olympics village, which is nice for them.
It's, yes.
Okay, us the fans don't get to see that. What this is my clincher, hopefully,
Mhm.
for the listeners, is it's not just about the winners. The bronze medal playoff actually means something. You can win a bronze medal.
Yes, I think as a player it means more than as a fan, at least for me.
Right.
Although I
yeah.
do like to see the Olympics tennis as well. So if the same question were to you, what would you prefer to go to?
I think the Olympics, really.
If you go to the Olympics to watch, you get not only to watch tennis, but you watch a lot more.
That's true.
It's
that
a special moment.
That wasn't part of my option, though. It wasn't.
It's true, but
Yes, that's good. Well, I should have said that. You can also watch the beach
you
volleyball.
can, yes, and the running, and you're surrounded by sports. It must be a great moment. Yeah.
I'm warming to the Laver Cup.
Yeah,
and
it
I
took
wasn't
some
before.
time.
So roll
Yeah.
on next year, Chicago, Boston, wherever it is.
I have a lot of good emotions with the Laver Cup. It's a good celebration of tennis, and I love to see the rivals hug and help each other. It's a beautiful moment.
And another thing for the champions tiebreak, isn't it? It's another kind of
Why not?
occasion.
Makes it faster.
Kind of
exciting.
hastens maybe
Mhm.
a kind of rule change, which brings me to my next item.
Mm-hmm.
A new idea by popular demand.
Yep.
Could not resist it. We've resisted it for the first 2 episodes, but a new segment to the show. I believe there's a theme tune which goes with this part of
Here
the
we
show.
go.
Iwana, again, she's been working overtime to come up with the theme tune.
Talking about rule change.
So,
Some weird
rule
beat.
change basically is where David and I both come up with a proposed rule change to implement into the world of tennis.
Yes.
And we have to say whether we agree with each other's proposed rule change. And anyone watching out there on social media can leave a comment and see if they agree or disagree, like or dislike.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go
Proposal.
first.
Take a deep breath.
I'll say 2 things. One is not a rule change. It's just stop with the music between the games. Yes, but that's not a rule, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, for the rule change, I would start with I
another
would
episode.
cut grunting.
How would
Yes.
you enforce this? Would you have someone with a measuring device? So be based on decibels?
Maybe. It's so difficult, isn't it? Because the grunting
I
in
think this is a good topic.
it is the grunting in some players is almost obnoxious because they will do 4 or 5 different kinds of sounds. But
I
it's-
think it would help, actually. I think it is unsportsmanlike, especially if you only grunt on certain shots. If it's consistent
Yes.
grunting, I find that I get used to it and it's not a problem. But if my
a good
opponent
point.
suddenly grunts when he hits a shot,
Mhm.
or they even call the ball out sometimes when you hit it, they make little noises which make you think, have you called that out? And you stop.
Yes.
That's very off-putting. I think if I tried grunting, which I've never really been a grunter, I think it probably helps your rhythm. It's a repetitive thing where you're hitting the ball. It must help your timing.
That's why it's such a difficult topic, for putting a rule and removing it. Have you seen a match between Azarenka and Sharapova?
With the sound down. With the sound down, yeah.
It's incredible what happens.
Do women grunt more than men, do you think?
I don't think so. There's a lot of grunting going on.
Sharapova's a shrieker, really, isn't she?
Oh, yes, that's more than grunting.
Definitely a shrieker, yeah.
Yes, and Serena, when she's getting very nervous, that is more than a grunt. That is an aggressive war cry. You see, we can understand why human beings and tennis players do this kind of stuff. It goes back to the time, it's primeval, so that's why it's difficult to put a rule and say no. But then again, oh my God, tennis would be a lot better off without...
This is the problem. I think it's a great thing, and I second that.
So how come you don't grunt?
Stopping grunting.
You have to start grunting against me when we play.
My role model growing up was Bjorn Borg, who would never grunt. So I think it's a bit uncool to grunt, and my thing has always been almost pretend that you don't care on court, so your opponent will kind of take it easy on you. But that's just my thing.
But that's what we do. I
can understand the psychology of grunters. I really can. But I think at the level that I play at, grunting's been less of a problem. There are lots of other annoying things which people do, like
bad calls.
Celebrate when you hit a ball, as if to say, yes, that your ball's out, and you're about to query it, but they're celebrating so much you look stupid for going, yes. I'm really sorry, I thought that ball was in. So there are other things, I think, at my level, but I'm sure at professional level, grunting is more of a problem than at my level. And in terms of watching it, I don't think I dislike a player because they grunt. If I don't like the player anyway and they grunt,
it's even worse.
It gives me a reason to dislike them, but I probably dislike them anyway. Yeah. Sharapova, I've always been a bit of a fan of. So her grunting doesn't bother me. I just imagine she's doing some gardening. We're living together, and it's particularly taxing in the garden. But if it's a player I don't like and they grunt, it's more reason to dislike them.
Great points. I like them all. You know, it's a difficult thing to change. That was talked about a few years ago at the professional level. But I also don't dislike players just because of the grunting.
Yeah.
But I do tend to have more players that I like that grunt less than players that grunt.
Sure. So
somehow the personalities are very apparent. The grunters are looking for a bit more of themselves in the grunt, whereas players that don't grunt have it without needing it.
Yeah, they make tennis look effortless, the non-grunters.
Yes, they have more style because of that. I mean, I'm sure there are out there lots of people that fall in love with the grunting. They even like a player because of the grunting, because it somehow attaches to their emotion and they like it. Yeah. I'm the opposite. I prefer the guys that are the silent killers.
Do you think grunters are drama queens or drama kings?
There you go. That's a very good word. Yeah. But then, of course, you get players like Nadal that has moments that he grunts and he doesn't, and we've learned to respect his grunting a lot.
Yeah.
But still, I think it's a very good word is drama queens.
I like your suggestion. I've very nearly changed my choice for tonight. Down to your suggestion to do a similar thing about bad habits of tennis players,
Towels
which is annoying
to
watch or to play against. Yeah. So my suggestion is veterans tennis. I would like to see it have a place in Grand Slam tournaments. So when I say veterans tennis, I mean the kind of tennis where McEnroe, Sampras, Agassi, they play the occasional tournament at the Royal Albert Hall, and there is a circuit. They play about 12 or 13 tournaments a year around the world, and I think the rule is you have to be You have to be either over 35 or retired from tennis for 2 years or 1 year.
Oh, but Federer is 37, 38, and Serena is 38.
Definitely, they would. But
wow, they would be destroying.
This was unheard of years ago, when it was founded by Jimmy Connors, because he was a businessman as well as a tennis player, and he had this veterans tournament, and then McEnroe kind of came along, took over from Connors, which Connors wasn't too happy about. And it was a great chance to see the stars of yesteryear play these tournaments. Could even come into Grand Slams or
hopefully
ATP tours. Nice little aside there, I think. So, but what I would like to see is the Grand Slams welcome it and actually have on Wimbledon as a curtain raiser for, say, the men's final or the females' final, you'd have the veterans would play on the outside courts during the tournament, and then on finals day they'd have their little tournament. They'd have their little thing,
A little moment to
before the
shine
match.
again.
But it would be important. You could be the Wimbledon kind of veterans champion. I think there's a cliff edge when players retire, when they fall off, and like it's not the same, is it, commentating as playing?
No.
Wouldn't that be something to aim for if you retire and you've got this desert beyond you of you're not playing these top matches?
I like
you
that.
could still be a
a good
veteran
perspective.
champion and still play in front of 10,000 people at Wimbledon before the main thing. So what do you think? Is that a bad idea or not?
I think it's a good idea if they manage to fit it in.
Now this brings me to my next point.
Yes.
Very good point. How would they fit it in?
Because I
And
think
this
it's
is
great.
the controversial part of my plan.
Yes, because I would love to watch Sampras Agassi again. You know, I grew up with
Yeah,
them. Why not?
definitely.
Even if they're a little bit older, they still can hit some balls. There are some tournaments out there every once in a while. I see. I don't know if it's in Grand Slams. You've seen it before. On the side courts, you get to see it.
It's doubles.
It's doubles.
And I want to see singles.
Yeah, wow. You're gonna push their bodies to the limit.
We played
That's
doubles the
another
other day, and
limitation.
it's great, but how would you fit it in? I would say at the expense of maybe doubles. I think they could play on the outside court. Say
Wow,
at
go
Wimbledon.
tell that to the UK. The UK loves doubles. And now you got me excited. The moment you said they take the doubles out and put singles of the classic players, I'm all in.
Picture this, David. 10 years' time, 5 years' time, 5 years' time. Federer, Nadal, veterans final.
Yes, why not?
Before Medvedev versus Dan Evans at the main
Sounds
tournaments.
good.
Would you rather watch that or the Laver Cup?
I would watch Nadal versus Federer.
What a great way to end the episode.
For sure.
So that's a yes then.
It's a yes. As long as we minimize doubles, I'm happy.
What a great way to end.
Yeah.
So we will see you next time out.
Yeah.
This was Unforced Errors. Two old guys talking about tennis.
Yeah.
See you next episode.